Hello and welcome to the Confusion Wrestling Podcast, the last bastion of independent wrestling. I'm your host, Rob Kammer, and this week in the studio with me is Alexandra Quinn, mostly based out of the Southeast, but she's slowly making her way up north, becoming a belt collector, even if it is against her will. We'll talk about that and a whole bunch of other stuff in the interview here in the next, minute or two. But I do, as a programming note, want to put over that she was a trooper. I mean, everyone who bothers to come on the show is a trooper for tolerating my BS. But not only did she have to tolerate my BS, but she was sick as a dog too. So, one way or another, do not hold this here interview against her. Tee-hee, giggle, giggle, all that sort of good stuff. Just because she wasn't bringing her A game, but she powered through it because that's what you got to do in this here biz. You got to grind, and obviously, Alexandra's got a lot of grind to her, so listen to us crash out, if you will, working her nickname into this intro. But enough about that, really. Never mind that. Let's take a pause for the cause so we can have the whole interview uninterrupted, and we'll be back un momento. Hey, folks. The Confusion Wrestling Podcast has become a veritable hub of shopping and treats and all that sort of good stuff. Whether you need a sugar-free alternative to energy drinks in the form of Raise Energy, or maybe even, top-of-the-line ice makers, coffee machines, and other household appliances, all through my links section. All you got to do is wander down to the descriptor of this week's episode, check out the various links, click on them, and go shopping like you normally would. Heck, it's no difference. You just came in and just said Rob sent you. And that way, you can get the things you need, maybe even at a discount, and the podcast gets a kickback as well. So be sure to check out those links. Thank you very much for listening. Back to the show. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, Confusion Wrestling Podcast. As I said on the top of the show, very special guest sitting in the studio this week. She is the Crashout Cutie, Alexandra Quinn. How are you doing this way, ma'am?
Well, I'm doing good.
I usually start out the party with the ever original, never before asked question. How did you get into professional wrestling? What made you a fan of the sport originally?
It's always kind of been a part of my life a little bit. I used to only watch it when I visited my grandmother's house because that was the only place I could watch it and not be like, "Oh, it's stupid. Why are you watching this?" Because I was kind of sheltered, so it's like that's usually the only time. And then I got older and I moved to another family member's house, and I was able to watch it then. It was WWE. It was around 2012. I was really into it, and because so it was, yeah, it's just been around since I was a kid, really.
I think it's fascinating how many stories involve it was grandma let me watch wrestling. I don't know what the correlation is with grandmas and the professional wrestling.
She didn't let me watch wrestling. It's because I slept over her house on the weekend, and I would flick through the channels to find it because I believe it was weekend, so it was Friday night, so Friday Night SmackDown, and so I would flick through the channels, and then I would find SmackDown, and yeah, and then I'll just watch it, and it was great because that was the only time I could watch it.
Who were your favorites? She didn't know. Oh.
Yeah.
Who were your favorites watching during that period? Well, who got you hooked, or what specifically got you hooked about it?
Daniel Bryan. That's my answer every single time.
That man can do no wrong. I'm just gonna put it out there.
My favorite wrestler.
He can do everything, and even when he's lying to us, and that's Cody Rhodes allegedly taught him that, but he still could do no wrong with that. If you almost anything you want out of a wrestler, that man can do, and it's crazy, go nuts. Yeah. What made you then cross? I call it cross the guardrail. What made you decide that, hey, I want to do this?
So, growing up, I've always very much enjoyed combat sports, pretty much. Like I wanted to do karate when I was a kid. I wanted to be part of the wrestling team, and so in high school, I couldn't do any of it because I was a girl. And when I was doing when I was in college, honestly, and I was just miserable because I'm just like I don't want to do this. And so I was like, what do I want to do? I'm like, I don't know. And then I realized I was like thinking like over through my life, like what has always been there that I've always loved? Wrestling. And so like when I thought about that, I was like, do I want to be a wrestler? And I was like, I think I want to be a wrestler. And so I was like, oh my gosh, I want to be a wrestler. And I was like, okay, I want to be a wrestler now. It was just like kind of a eureka kind of moment when I did. I was having this a mental rut on what I truly wanted to do with my life. Mm.
That's fair. I feel like a lot of folks kind of go through that, especially with the push for a lot of years of like, you got to go to college, you got to get a good job. But like the problem with college is you still have to decide what you're going to college for. Really, like, it's not like high school where it's just like call it gen ed and just kick you out with a diploma. Like college, you have to choose your major and minor, and then indirectly, in theory, figure out how that's going to tie in with like the rest of your life.
Mhm.
And like and then just hope for the best, or you get yourself like an art degree, and then who knows what happens with that said art degree. That wasn't my problem.
And half the time, like you get this degree and you never end up using them.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing is like nowadays, so many people like we can get on this whole soapbox because I'm an old man and I've seen how like the changes in the college system. But like that's the thing is like so many people now have a college degree that the college degree in and of its I don't want to say it's useless, but like the odds of you finding something in that specialty because everybody else and their mothers now got a bachelor's degree. Like it's just kind of another qualification hoop to jump through.
Yeah.
Except now this hoop costs, you know, maybe $100,000 to jump through it. But
Mm.
that's again that's gonna like that's like the now the old man social worker coming out and coming out in me with like 25 years of life experience post college and all that sort of good thing. Um, but you kind of had this epiphany that you were going to be, that you really wanted to be a wrestler. Was like I guess I'm curious because a lot of people like have the moment where we're like, yeah, I want to be a wrestler. It's like that's what I've always wanted to do. But was there anything in particular that pushed that epiphany, or was that just something that you decided that was? I don't want to say the only thing you liked, but it just was there something in specific that kind of like pushed you to that epiphany specifically?
Um, I guess depression, like, like I was very like I was very miserable like at the time. Like I was just not all there because like I was like in community college for like my web development degree. But don't get me wrong, I actually do kind of enjoy web development. I like doing it for fun though, mainly. And so, but and also school's just stressful, and I was working too, and I'm just like, what is all this for? Like for real, like, and it was just. I was like, nah, I need to figure this out before I end up jumping off a bridge or something. Like, I can't do this. It was basically just yeah. And so like and of course like I'm not naive. Like I know that just because I say, oh, I want to be a wrestler doesn't mean I'm gonna jump into the ring and be like, yeah, this is it. But it was but I don't know. I also like kind of know myself very well. And so if I had this idea, I knew that I just had to at least try it before I make any other decisions after that.
Well, it's fair, and like the way the business kind of works out is that it not that it's an easy business to get through, but it's an easy business to just go like, okay, I got my fill. I found out this is me or not me, and just kind of move on to the next thing, for better or for worse. It's not like, oh, wrestling is paying all of my bills right now, and if I quit, now I'm homeless. Unfortunately, most wrestlers, have to keep their various side gigs and whatnot. But on the plus side, if you decide it's not for you for whatever reason, it's a good way to test those and whet that appetite, if you will.
It was, yeah, because I knew somebody who told me that they wanted to be a wrestler since they were a kid, and he took one bump and they were like, nah. And so, like, look, man, fell on concrete on my first day. And I was like, you know what? It's fine. I'll come back the next day.
That's like low key, like one of mine. I don't want to call it a full on regret because I really don't regret it. But the thing is, like, I'm thinking about now, like even at my age, like I've never trained, I've never taken like, we'll call it a real bump. I have fallen down way too many times. I have hit my head way too many times. But I was like thinking, like, man, I am old and not in good shape. Do I really want to take my first bump in my mid 40s and then realize like I can't even get up now because my hips gave out or some old man malady that I have? Not anyone who's in proper shape, good luck to you. I am not in proper shape. I would be that guy who walks in, flabby and with no cardio and then get what I asked for. Not gonna lie, I'm realistic at my end. That's why I have a podcast, so I can spout out other nonsense opinions about wrestling without having no expertise whatsoever.
We love those. There's a lot of those too.
Oh god, there's so many of them, and like, and that's why, and like that's why I make comments like all the time, like about having a neck beard or an opinion with a microphone, or I'm a middle-aged man with a beard and a microphone. Obviously, I need to have an outlet to scream into the ether and share my nonsense opinions, and then hope for the best that my opinion makes sense and or I'm just not JD from New York and everyone secretly hates me.
Jesus Christ!
Oh, said that one aloud.
I was like, oh boy, he said the word. He said the word.
So that's the thing is, since I don't have real sponsors and I'm not part of a podcast network, I could say all sorts of crazy stuff that as long as it isn't full on litigious or slanderous or whatever, boom, I'm just a crazy guy screaming in my joke world in my mother's basement, and with my hot tub full of pizza rolls. But on the plus side, there is freedom in all this stuff. But like, man, that's one like I do like is without all that, I can just kind of say things and just hope for the best. Sometimes I'm told I have good opinions. Those days are marked on the calendar, though. I'm not gonna lie. I know my station in life. That makes me feel honored, though, that you bothered to come on the podcast. I feel like we both share a general disdain for wrestling podcasters.
I've done quite a bit of them. I mainly do them because I need to learn how to talk to people. I'm like, look, man, if I want to make it, I'm gonna have to learn how to be able to talk to people and not be awkward, because before wrestling I was very shy, didn't know how to talk to people, extremely introverted. I didn't like nobody, nothing. I was like, mm-mm. And I was like, dang, I can't be a wrestler that doesn't like talking to people, don't I? Guess I gotta fix this. So yeah.
That's fair. I had last year had David Lawless on the show, and he's just like, I will do every podcast because you know what? That's the only way I'm getting my name out there. So I'll get on every podcast, throw my name out there so at least one more person is thinking about the gavel David Lawless. And I say this now, and then he turns around and retires on me, but So, okay. He waited a couple months, so he didn't just promote his stuff on my show and then quit the business. That's how horrible I am. I caused David to quit. That's a lie.
That's kind of a fun. Imagine making a wrestler retire.
I feel like you'd have to be like really bad, or that wrestler like, no offense intended to this hypothetical wrestler, because we're definitely not talking about real people, but like how thin skinned they would have to be like, this podcast was so bad, just I can't do this anymore. Like I
Was
feel,
this
I
thing
mean,
called the X button? Hmm.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, because I feel like, as bad as, like, my opinion of podcasters are, I mean, let's be realistic. Like, just regular wrestling fans on the internet, I feel like, are actually worse, just because there's no, like, at least as a podcaster, there might be a consequence at my end. People might not want to come on my podcast anymore, or I won't have people that pay me 2 cups of coffee a month to do this. Whereas, like, fans behind the screen, like, well, in person for the matter, or behind the keyboard, are magically fortified to say whatever horrible thing they want. But that's we're
That's a
turning this
whole
interview.
can of worms. That's a whole new can of worms.
This podcast is just going to be all the people we hate in the industry.
Oh.
So much for power of positivity here. We're gonna have fun. We're just going to shit on everyone.
Shit on everyone. Right, let me talk about all the wrestlers I don't like right now.
I have joked, because I do a lot with the local wrestling scene, and I joke, like, do they actually like pay attention to like each other's interviews? Because everyone still pretends to like me and comes on this here podcast. But man, there are times I either one of us has said things that are probably not the best for, we'll call it, the local politics.
Jesus. Nah, that only happens for like the big timers, you know?
Yeah.
So they won't get canceled because they said something crazy like 6 years ago.
Right. I look back, like, yeah, I look back and like something like, man, like, yes, I was coming, like, the internet was a thing when I was younger, but like, good thing I was like like a little bit more mature when like people started paying attention to like what people were saying at any given time. And so a lot, I won't say 100%, because there's always something you miss, but I will say a lot of my comment history or blog history was at least well enough, almost. But internet is a wonderful and horrible tool all at the same time.
Oh yeah, it's a wonderful place. I love the internet.
It's where I get my gossip, and it just reinforces my bad behavior, because I either go like, yeah, I share that opinion, other people are saying that, or the flip side, like, or I just or so I live in a vacuum, or it feeds my troll instincts of like, that person's terrible, but I'm gonna keep reading it because it's like a car crash and I can't look away from it. But that's, I don't know, that's how I feel like a lot about my media, though. Like, though I can't quite understand hate watching things. That's one it goes over my head.
Just don't watch.
Right.
Just don't watch.
That's how I feel. Like, why would you watch it? Like, don't get me wrong, like, I have opinions, good and bad, about things, but like, if I know I'm not enjoying it, like, why would I? Like, I don't.
I feel like some humans are just creatures of habits. You're just creatures.
I can't argue that point, because I mean, that's the reason. Like, if we're gonna, like, I don't know, try to focus on the art of professional wrestling, I was like, but that's why, like, we have, in any media, like, there's catchphrases, or musically speaking, like, leaf motifs. That's why, like, a lot of pop songs sound the same, or everyone waits for a specific character's catchphrase, whether it's in wrestling or on TV or whatever. Like, it breeds that familiarity that, like, oh, it's safe or expected to go around it. So it's not, hopefully not too many shocks to the system in that meanwhile. The basic psychology, or at least psychology 101 for anybody who's bothered to take a college course. But we went off the rails on that one. I'm not even sure how to tail that back with a good segue. I am not good enough to segue that back into things. But Taylor back, maybe focus on the more positive things. Quit complaining about people. That's, I know, we can keep complaining. That's fun. There's plenty of time for that. But so you went through the training process. Like, did it live up to any expectations you had for it? Did you come in like in the doors with any preconceived notions about it, and did they get bumped out of you, or or did you kind of already like have an idea, like half an idea of what to expect?
um, it's kind of hard to answer that question because so before I started, um, I was kind of practicing a little bit in like my best friend's living room because I started wrestling with my best friend. We started together because we both wanted to be wrestlers. It was, and we were like searching up like how to do like basic stuff like rolling and getting up and stuff like that. And so we were like kind of practicing for ourselves. And then when we actually started, there was like there was like rolling. There was like the rolling part. We were like, oh my gosh, we know how to do that because we learned that. And the one thing that I realized is that I was not athletic. I was. It was a struggle for me. So I did like it was like a lot of things that you think that is in wrestling that it's like it's not. It's not. You're wrong. I'm telling you, you're wrong. And so I wouldn't say that like I was like, oh, this is not what I thought. It was more of like, oh, you have to put more thought into this part. So it really opened my eyes to the sport and how it's not easy at all. Like it's hard. Wrestling is hard. Like people say wrestling is easy. Wrestling is easy, but also wrestling is hard. Like, well, it's easy to the point that like you can be, and also you have to remember like not only you can be like athletic and a good wrestler, but it doesn't make you a good wrestler. Like
There,
think of like how many wrestlers that like that are like so good and he just did not go over because they just did. They're just not well rounded in a way. Like I still struggle with a lot of the things that. What was the question? I can tell I don't feel good. I
I know
was like,
you're good. You answered the question sufficiently. I think. But I think you bring up a good point. Is that there's a lot to wrestling in general, and there's on one hand there's no such thing as a complete package, but on the other hand, being good at parts isn't going to, I don't know, give you success as a success as pro wrestler to some extent.
I will say that some parts that people have can make it more successful than others. Like there's a lot of people that can't wrestle for shit, but because they have the look or they can talk, they get the spots that they get. Which I'm not saying they haven't earned that because what they're doing is a part of wrestling. Like you need that. But like, but there's also people that are just like really um good at wrestling, but they don't like have the I don't know, they pay attention to like more parts than like I don't know what I'm trying to say. I feel like I know what I'm trying to say, but I don't know what I'm trying to say.
Well, and again, I think kind of lumping it together, and maybe I'll jog your memory and you can tell me I'm wrong, or they'll push it into a different direction. But I like to use like Hulk Hogan as an example. Like people rag on Hulk Hogan because he doesn't have that 5-star match like quality to him, but like one, he's actually a lot better at the fundamentals than people give him credit for. Like if you look at his work in Japan, which has become a little bit more readily available to us to actually see, like, oh, Hogan can quote unquote work. But like he didn't need to do all that stuff working for 1985 WWF, like because he was larger than life. He had that charisma, both physically and coming out of his mouth. He could talk, and so you didn't necessarily have to be, putting on hour-long classics to get over with that audience. Or using Ultimate Warrior for an example, like people love the Ultimate Warrior. Do any of his promos make a lick of sense? Do we know what he's talking
I don't
about?
remember a single one.
Like, or and actually to a lesser extent, I've like I've watching back like The Rock. The Rock can sell almost anything, but like if you listen to like some of those old promos of his, like I spend a lot of time going like, what is he talking about? Like whatever it is, I'm buying, but I just don't know what it is I'm buying at all. Like he's just saying things and somehow it works, and I don't know how or why. Um,
It's just a natural charisma that, which you also need in wrestling. You need charisma. You need to be able to, what's the word? That's like kind of like the point. Like you need to be able to bring people in, and you need to convince them that like whatever you're trying to do, you're going to make it happen, and that's what convincing. Even though like so like yeah, if like The Rock can probably convince me that I need to, I don't know, go outside and run with the birds or something because it's good for my physical health. Like it's like something like that. Like like oh, it's like so if you like yeah, if you're not convincing, then it's not. If you're, people are not gonna care. Like you need to make people care emotionally, like invest in that because if you're a good wrestler and you're like be like hey, so like I got this match against this person and oh like yeah, I'm gonna win.
that, that's that is a lot of like uh Atlantic shoot. It became Mid Atlantic. There's the company I was looking for. That is a lot of like Mid Atlantic promos in like the like the late 70s, early
Mhm.
80s. I I I I blows my mind, and this is the nerd in me coming out. But like watching the evolution of Paul Jones. I'd not until the WWE Network come along. I'd never seen him as a wrestler, and wrestling Paul Jones and number one Paul Jones later on, and even then, like we're still talking like 40 years ago because nerd. But like, yeah, he cut that. That was his promo, like in the like late 70s, and it's like, yep, so and so's a good wrestler, but I'm a better wrestler, and we will test this out next weekend at the Coliseum where I'll become victorious. And just
Okay, bro.
that that's it. And then like when he became a manager, he was forced to the traditional wrestling histrionics, which he wasn't that great at that either, but it was leaps and bounds at least more entertaining than what he was doing prior to that. But um, but I think hopefully like kind of bring it back. It's kind of an evolving process, and especially like if we're going to talk about like your case, like you're so young in your career that like you've got plenty of time, plenty of space to learn, evolve, see what works best for you and kind of find your niche within the realm of professional wrestling, however it is you see yourself going. And kind of talking a little bit more current events with it, like I mean you seem to have some momentum in your career going with you. Saw that you are one half of the Hooligan Championship Wrestling women's tag team champions, so congrats
Oh,
on
hell
that.
yeah.
They have a pretty impressive roster for an indie. So like I feel like that's having any sort of championship gold over there is an accomplishment.
Yeah,
What how how was that your first championship, or have you gotten others prior to that?
I had one. I'm the um so funny enough, I just won another one yesterday on Friday. But
Woo!
yeah.
Breaking news on this podcast.
Yeah,
For
yeah,
those who
yeah.
haven't seen it
But
yet.
I've been the queen of RFPW. Uh it's a promotion in Atlanta since like August of last year. I have I've held that and then I won that my debut of all times. And then I won Pro South Tag Team Championship on Friday, which was crazy because I was like, all right, this is happening now. Um, yeah, and I think I might be wrong. I think I'm their first woman tag champ. I'm not gonna lie.
Hey, well,
So
we'll call it canon right now. You're the first woman champion over
yep,
there, and then
yep.
someone can come in the comments and correct us. But until
Yeah,
that
you want to
happens,
see them? I have them right here.
well, bring them
I
on,
have
and
them right here.
that's what we will use for our little promotional screenshots.
Oh my gosh, I'm like almost knocked my table over. Ugh. I my crown is in my bag. So here's this one, and here's this one. Oh yeah,
We
and
got
then my crown. Yeah, and then my crown. Ugh. Wait, I almost got it. I'm almost there. Okay. Yes, and then I have a queen's crown.
oh,
Yeah.
becoming a belt collector like you.
Oh boy.
That's 10 more, and you're Monet.
Oh boy. I'm definitely. I can't compare myself to that woman. I can't. She's this. She's too. I can't see. I'm blinded by her amazingness. But yeah.
So I have to ask
And
this. Oh, sorry.
oh, I would say that I think this is hilarious because I have not given tag wrestler at all. I'm not a tag wrestler. I was like, you know what? It's fine. Yeah, this is fine.
Well, if nothing else, you are now you can be the Shawn Michaels of every team you're in. You're just showing up. I guess that's a poor example because he was didn't win too many tag team championships with the Rockers / Midnight Rockers. We just think of him as just being the guy takes off and leaves his partner in the dust through a cowardly jump through a barbershop window. Uh, but I have to ask, with you collecting these titles, like, do you take them all with you at once, or do you just take whatever's needed at the moment?
Um, so I personally would rather not carry them, or I only do it at my school just because. But usually I don't carry. I still carry them with me just in case if they're like, hey, do this. But usually I try not to. I rather not. They're a lot to hold. They're heavy.
Yeah, they
Like,
are.
I have to carry my stuff and I have to carry these things. Like, come on. But,
That's just like one of my little nerd questions I like to ask because there's one. He's not. He came up through our ranks, but now he's a worldwide traveler. But he taught like he won a pretty notable championship and then came home to wrestle. And I was just like, I need a picture of that belt. And he's like, dude, I am not taking that belt through customs unless the company tells me to take that belt with me. Because
just
especially in
driving
his
in a
case,
car and taking it is hard work. Like, I'm just like, I be telling my friends that are like, I'm like, hold my title. I'm like, it's just, but no, they're so right. They're very correct.
like it's great having the concept of having the championship, but then doing the champion thing to do of lugging them everywhere,
Oh my
or
god.
God forbid taking them onto flights. Like you got to pay extra for that because belts are heavy.
I
The
don't know.
championship
I've
is
never
heavy.
had to take it on a flight before. But if I
Uh,
don't have to, I ain't taking it with me.
but I had to give him crap because I told him I wanted to like at least steal the belt, and he's just like, man, I'm not taking that belt. Like unless I'm told to take publicity photos, I'm not taking that belt with me.
No,
No
he
offense to the
said,
company, I love I love the company, love the championship, but I also love the fact that I don't have to pay an extra $50 and carry it to have it weighed in and carried on, and then babysit it for however long I got to babysit it too. Like, okay,
He's so right.
I'll
No, he's right. He's right.
yeah. I can't fault that logic. As much as a fan, it's a disappointment, but also as a lazy man myself, yeah, no, that's just one less hassle that I need. So unless you're paying me a bunch extra to be a babysitter for 10 pounds of gold, brother, yeah. But that's easy for me to say on this side of the microphone too, because Lord knows I'm not winning any championships. We don't have a 24/7 title around these parts, brother.
Oh gosh,
So, unless the DDT heavy metalweight championship, heavy metalweight Ironman championship sneaks its way down this way, which hasn't come this close, but that's a title that's been won by ladders before, so I might have a chance at that one.
Oh, okay.
If you just want some cheap fun, just FYI, like just look up the history, or just find matches for the DDT in Japan heavy metalweight championship. It's like harkens back to the WWF Hardcore Championship, where it's 24/7 rules, and so there's just general chaos involved with the championship, and so people and inanimate objects win the belt outside of matches, is basically as long as there's a ref there to count the pin. Like, the champion lost the belt to a ladder because it was like some other ladder match, and he fell, and the ladder fell on top of him, and the ref counted the 3, and the ladder got awarded the belt.
That's
great.
Insane.
Yeah, that's my I appreciate your Bryan Danielson versus Jack Sabre Jr. matches, but I also appreciate a champion losing losing the belt to a ladder too. I am a man of varied tastes.
Good taste.
I wouldn't go far to say good taste, but I'm a man of tastes, plural, if nothing else. But I do think it's interesting that you said you didn't consider yourself kind of a tag team wrestler, and now you're finding yourself in these tag team championship situations. Is this something that you're now kind of like putting thought into, as kind of a role you have, at least in the short term? And is this kind of affecting your attitude kind of coming into matches, or your wrestling style as a whole?
I don't change my wrestling style. I have put more thought into it, because since I'm not a tag wrestler, and I was kind of forced to be a tag wrestler, and so I'm like, well, now I gotta like learn how to work with other people, because I'm used to just fighting for myself. No, fighting for other people. Sorry, but yeah, it does change the mindset a little bit, because now I'm like, okay, now I have to focus on this, now I have to focus on that, because there's certain things I don't like. Even when I'm in like those crazy man 8-man tags, and I'll get critiques, and they're like, hey, so remember, you gotta cut the ring, and you gotta keep this, and you gotta do that, and I'm like, I don't know this stuff. I'm not a tag wrestler. But like, yeah, I try to, but I know it's like, I feel it's a good opportunity to make me even more well rounded in wrestling, and learn how to be a tag wrestler as well as being a singles wrestler. But no, my moves are still the same. I'm still whooping ass. I don't care if it's me, somebody else, another person, 10 people. I don't care. I'm doing the same thing.
That's fair. How do you come into a match where it's like the 8-person tag? Because the Hooligan Tag Championship came in an 8-woman tag team match, if I'm mistaken. 4 teams.
Yes.
Like, what do you think going into like a match like that? That's like,
I didn't know. You know what makes it worse? I didn't know any of them. I do not know these people, and I was like, oh, and do you know what the worst? I was late. We were match 1. I was like, this is horrible. This is gonna suck.
So your tag team partner is definitely not your regular tag team partner, and now you're in a match with 7 other individuals, and like I don't pay enough attention to Hooligan as I should for the quality product they put out, but like I've seen the names in that match, and I'm familiar with chunks of their work. Like I will throw lovely Miss Larkin under the bus, because
I knew who Larkin was. Yes.
I guess she's a.
I didn't know her personally.
Now, I guess because she's a whole Tasmanian devil in and of herself. Like, there's nothing traditional about how she
Well, I
runs
love
around.
her too.
Oh,
We
oh,
were
she's
getting
great. This is
yeah. She's like I knew who she was. She was like I just didn't know her, like they were all like kind of strangers to me. I never met any of them in real life. So it was like this is gonna be awkward. And then like because I got there late, I was like, oh boy, this is gonna but but yeah, I got along with everybody. It was interesting. It was an interesting match. I pretty much just I didn't have to do much though.
that's the upside to some of those kinds of matches.
Yeah.
I had brother Azrael on the show. I think it's still last year. I don't know, time means nothing, and he's just like, man, like I love the tag stuff because I'm the big guy that wrecks everyone. So he's like, I just stand on the apron, and when it's my time to kick some ass, tag, I kick some ass, and then it's either time for me to tag out and let the other guy get the glory, or I win, baby. Like
Yeah, that's literally
that.
how it no, it's kind of how it was literally Friday. Like I didn't take a single I took like one bump the whole match. I was like, oh, I was kind of like, and then like I read the article and it literally said Quinn was whipping KJ Valentine's ass. And I was like, I was just beating everybody up. I'm just like, that's me. That's just who I am.
Hey,
But that's kind of the good part about being like, I guess, a powerhouse, because that's what I guess I identify as for other people.
they got their spot, and again, we referenced niches earlier, and if you're fitting into that, own it up and just as they're putting up in the write ups, just kick their ass. I mean, I'm a firm believer of the a Big E adage of big meaty men slapping meat, and we can just replace men with any
Women,
gender
yeah,
pronoun NB whatever you want in there. Like just
yeah,
go in there, whip some ass, man. There's nothing wrong with that.
it's nothing. I very much enjoy what I do on whipping ass.
And you know, it's important to enjoy what you do, especially in the realm of professional wrestling, where it's a lot of work and it's a lot of pain being involved in that. Whether it's just the training, taking bumps. So if you could be the one whipping ass and you love it, I don't think there's anything. I don't think you can ask for too much more outside of maybe more money. But that's always you can always ask for more money, regardless of what your position in life is.
It's true.
But let's go ahead and we can wind this down a bit. So, like, where can we find you online? And if you got your calendar handy, where can we see you whip ass here in the next couple of weeks?
Um, you can find me on. I'm trying to remember it. Alexandra Quinn on my Instagram is underscore Alexandra underscore Quinn and two underscores after that. I know I couldn't just get Alexandra Quinn. I know, but so there's that. I have a YouTube channel. It's called Alexandra Quinn. My Facebook is just Alexandra Quinn. I'm trying to remember if I have anything else. I don't have a Twitter yet. I've been yelled at to make a Twitter. I just don't like Twitter. I don't like social media like that. I'm sorry. I just have to be on it because I know I have to. But
just pick the ones you like, and then just be really good at those.
yeah. Oh my goodness, my calendar. I'm not gonna lie. I've been kind of not doing the best on putting dates in my calendar. So right now I only have 2 dates in three. Oh gosh. I don't know. I think I have like 3 or 4 shows in this month. I forgot. I have DWA that's usually in like Atlanta. I have Coastal Wrestle Alliance that's going to be in Alabama. That's the only ones I wrote down. Everything else is like future, like later in next month. I need to do better. I have been
Long
slacking.
I mean, as long as you know where you need to be and when you need to be there, that's fine. We'll just hype the social media because most people promote their bookings on the social media too. And
I'd be struggling with that too. I'm trying to get better. I'm trying to get better. I promise. I'm getting better.
I preach to the choir and not go to social media. Like maybe this would be a better podcast if I knew how to social media. But instead, I spend all my time just trying to get people on the show and then trying to talk to people and then be like, oh, by the way, so and so's coming this week, and then hope for the best.
Oh, jeez.
But we'll guide to the social media. Hopefully, in the next couple of weeks, as I get ready to plug this, you'll be slightly better in it, or at least feel better. And if you feel better, maybe you'll social media better. Because Lord knows if I'm in a mood or not feeling well, social media is a good representation of my personality in a moment. But I do appreciate you coming on the show, and telling a bit about your journey through the wacky world of professional wrestling, or just spending the first 15 minutes complaining about things with me, whichever. Either way, it was great to sit down and talk to you. The Confusion Wrestling Podcast is a weekly podcast that is written and performed by Rob Kammer and hosted by Spotify for podcasters. The background music for this section is Ruined by Day, performed by Alan Schroeder. If you enjoyed this podcast and would like to help support, please like, subscribe, and tell your friends, family, and enemies. Leaving a review is helpful as well, because word-of-mouth advertisement is very important for us small podcasts. My social media links can be found in the description, but Twitter, Instagram, and Blue Sky are at The Nova of Cass. That's TheNovaofCass, and Facebook is MLW Confusion, all one word. If you'd like to support monetarily and help upgrade my equipment, please check out my virtual tip jar at ko-fi.com/Casanova, or if you prefer more bang for your buck, go to patreon.com/Casanova, that's CASSONOVA, where for as little as $2, backers get access to the podcast early and without those pesky ads, plus other exclusive content. So join the crew that is headed up by Keith Wynn, Alan Schroeder, Chris Zach, and Elenia, and check it out. You can also find t-shirts, coffee mugs, and other merch at the Confusion Podcast store on Teespring. Also, be sure to check out the affiliate links in the description below. For business inquiries such as ads, sponsorships, and etc., please email rzkamer, Kamerer, at comcast.net. Thank you all for listening.